gentlemen, to the oddest little podcast on the internet. We are the Odd Pod. My name's Stacey Kruger. Who are you boys?
I am casually challenged.
Rad Hazard reporting for duty. Duty.
Duty.
I'm the new and improved Robbie.
Now I want
with a mint flavoring.
a mint flavoring and a PS4. So I mean, you really move it on up the console wars. Bop it up, pop.
As one YouTuber might say, I have achieved a life upgrade.
You just get little gamer, like instead of gamer points, it's like instead of a gamer score, it's like a life score. Just like cha-ching, you get a little achievement above your head. You walk around like, look how big this fucker is. You like this life score? Yeah.
It's like in a video game when you get a fresh new pair of armor.
Exactly. Except that the armor is actually useful, where the video game life score is just like, look at my penis. That's really about it. I look at my
That's
massive
an
slumber.
electronic penis or an e-peen.
E-peen.
Yeah.
Oh, the E-peen.
It's not the size of the EP, it's what you do with it.
And just so you know, when you look at my e-peen, it's cold in here.
less than 30 seconds, I believe.
Less than 30 seconds, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we made it 1 minute before penis was mentioned 3 times.
Okay, here's my thing about the fucking gamer score. When I first got an Xbox, because believe it or not, I actually owned one at one point in time before I decided I really hate them because the controllers didn't feel good in my hand. I really thought that the gamer score was meant for something like you could like redeem it for something like on the Xbox store. I'm like, wow, you keep getting shit. This must be worth something. No, I was just a pleb in cloth armor, walking out into a field full of tigers to go, take me, man meat, I'm yours. Because I was like grinding. Back when I was married, my wife was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I got to get this gamer score up. Why? Well, I could get something with this. She went, oh, cool, what can you get? I don't know, but I could get something.
You thought it was like tickets at the arcade or something?
Pretty goddamn much, yes. So, like, this tells you how old I am. I'm trained that the higher the numbers you get, the better thing you could get at the end. That just tells you.
50,000 tickets for the hoverboard.
Right, exactly.
Wouldn't have been a bad idea. Like, get your gamer score high enough, get a free crappy game off of the live store or whatever.
Or even just free avatars. Something. People would love this and would encourage them to play games more, right?
Free sunglasses for your avatar if you get your gamer score high enough.
That would be fucking awesome.
And yet, how many years are we into Xbox's thing and nothing?
Exactly. But yeah, so I remember grinding. It's going, oh, look, I have a high E-peen. Look how massive it is. Then I look down in real life and go, God damn it still hasn't grown. But guys, we've been gone for like, we haven't podcasted in like 2 weeks. Well, a week and 6 days, but so Mother's Day happened. Did everybody have a good Mother's Day? Did anybody give a shit even?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I gave a shit for my mom. I mean,
Okay.
come on.
Well, I
I don't
didn't
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you damn people across the other side of the pond. Here in the U.S., it was Mother's Day last Sunday. I didn't give a flying fuck.
It's a made-up holiday by Hallmark, but it's a big deal now because
In the UK,
come on,
Mother's
celebrate
Day
your
was in
mom.
March.
I celebrate that bitch every day. I don't need to give her a special day. Like I'm serious, man. Like, thank you for not swallowing me that night Dad asked for a blowjob, Mom. That's actually a tale I was told. I was like, thanks, Mom. I'm glad to hear you had Dad's dick in your mouth and you made him blow inside of you instead of your mouth. That made me feel so warm and fuzzy inside, you cunt.
My Mother's Day was awesome. I killed Mom several times. Binding of Isaac.
I get that in the US you have to be different from your daddies over here in the UK of having your own holidays and things like that. But even with like something like the same holiday, like Mother's Day, why do you have to have that on a different day?
I don't know, dude.
Because so
it sells more.
It's basically every month they have to have a holiday, and we have the obvious big ones, like we have, at least in America, Thanksgiving is in November.
Yeah.
Halloween's in October, Christmas is in December, but there are certain months that have kind of a lull. And during that lull, Hallmark, which we blame for all holidays, created things like Mother's Day and Father's Day because there's nothing else going on.
You know, as many times as we said they've created it, I'm not sure if they actually did. It's always just been a running joke. Did they actually truly create it, or was this like some fucking politician going, you know, it's a great idea, this?
I honestly don't know the full story behind that kind of stuff. But yes, greeting card companies have created holidays that have become like major things before. I don't know if they created Mother's Day, but they have created days. And I mean, let's face it, the internet has created some days too. Like May the 4th is becoming a real thing that people are celebrating with like dress up and cards and all the other MacGuffins that go into that stuff.
That is
Funny
your word of the
story
day,
about that.
isn't it?
Funny story about that. My boss's birthday is on May the 4th, and he hates Star Wars.
Did you give him a lightsaber for his birthday?
No, but I went out drinking with him, and I said, hey, happy birthday. May the 4th be with you.
And he just looked at you like, I swear to Christ, I'll fucking fire you. No, but okay. Please, casual. What is with the MacGuffins? What is with this? Has like been the word of the day with you. I've heard it like 5 times already.
It's a TV trope. Hold on, I don't have research handy. Basically, I believe it was actually.
Well, if you want to, I can fill time while you search for it. If you like.
It was actually coined by what's his name, Joss Whedon, I believe, who was describing it's any object, thing, or idea in a story that the protagonists are going after. It literally doesn't matter what it is. It can be a book. It can be a coin. The One Ring is the MacGuffin of the Lord of the Rings.
The actual object doesn't matter. It's the journey surrounding it, like trying to get to it, keep it away from other people, XYZ.
Right, and that's whoever coined the term. It became like very famous, and now it's like the thing, you know, that
It's like standard in storytelling.
It's the name of the trope is MacGuffin.
Okay. So, guys, I looked it up. I found it. Where the first Mother Day celebration thing was, the first celebrated one as far as nationwide goes, it was done by a Methodist church that pushed it through to make it a nationally recognized holiday as far as the United States was concerned, back in 1908. So we can thank the church. All right, there we go. We figured it out, guys.
It's not that old then.
Yeah, no. But all right, so I'm going to pull a Peter Griffin here, man. Are we ready for this? Not that. I'm not going to take my pants off. I'm not going to fart at my kid until she pukes in the living room, in the kitchen, and they blame it on her. No. You know what really grinds my fucking gears?
Giggity.
God, I can't. What's up? Quagmire wasn't his name?
Giggity.
I can't,
All right.
I can't pull off his voice. Anyway, you know what really grinds my fucking gears? A game that's like, here's your brand new game. Look how shiny it is. By the way, here's the DLC you won't be able to buy, even though the game's not fucking released yet. Why? Why couldn't you just put that? If you already know what it is, it's already completed. It's there. You showed the finished product. Why can't you just put it in the fucking game? We get it. You want to make money. And you're a bunch of cheap bastards. But come on, man.
Cha-ching!
I get it. Money. I completely, okay. I'm not talking as in an idiot going, why can't they do this? I get it. I'm talking as in fucking humans. Why can't you just give it to us, you fucking lazy cunts? Just put it in
cha-ching. Cha-ching, cha-ching. It comes down to human nature and the fact that we don't speak with our wallets enough. You see, back when they started this trend, things like microtransactions didn't even exist. You know, when people put out an expansion to a game, the first thing they had to do was make sure the game sold.
Yep.
You know, when Quake came out, they said, "Oh, do people like this game? Okay, let's start on some extra content." And then they would release some extra content, and they would wait again, and then they are actually buying it. Okay, let's make more. But then somewhere, I don't know when, probably EA, just because I hate them.
Let's blame everything on EA, please.
Decided to make content for the game hold on to it. And when they saw that the game, and to be fair, I imagine that this content wasn't actually completed. And it might have even been like, I'm just hypothesizing here, I don't know the realities, but it might have even been like a game that wasn't quite finished, and they said, well, let's just hold on to it, we'll finish it later if the game works. So they released the game, and then they already mostly had the content ready, and when the game sold well, they said, okay, quick, let's finish this content. And within like a week or a month, there was new content. And somebody, very business-oriented, looked at that and said, what if we literally just held back content?
See,
and they did.
I know it is different for physical game discs. Those games are actually finished several months before they come out. You know, they finish everything and they put it to gold, i.e. the master disc that everything else and all the other game copies come from. That can't be altered very easily. So
right.
instead of taking all back and having them print brand new discs for this new content,
Mm-hmm.
they say we'll ship the completed disc and have this as day one DLC.
I will blame that on EA, by the way, because I remember some of that stuff happening. Like, for instance, they had that in Dragon Age Origins. They had this entire locked content on the disc that you had to buy more stuff in order to unlock it that was already on the disc you bought.
All you had to buy was a 100 kilobyte download to unlock it. You weren't actually buying the content because you already bought the content. They did the same thing with Resident Evil 5.
Just, it pisses me off so much, man. I mean, it bothers the shit out of me. You know what I mean?
I wholeheartedly agree, but the problem is it's gamers that have to take a stand, and I will 100% say I am guilty. I don't, because when I see the content, I go, but I want it. And
See,
I want it now, and I'll pay for it because I want it.
I'm the exact opposite boat. I'm willing to take a stand. Because here's my thing is, when it was like, okay, we're going to make something new for this game because people enjoyed it so much, that's cool. I was totally fine with playing for DLC when it was that thought. But now it's just, we're going to break this game up into bits and just give them chunks of a game until they have the complete game. When they really had nothing to do with new content, extra content, nice things, because they just thought the game was selling so well they wanted to make something new. It was just chunks of a fucking complete game, and that's it.
You ever see that analogy of the McDonald's Happy Meal?
Yep.
How games used to be a full burger, DLC used to be fries and a shake, and now games are like the full game. Well, the game you get, it was basically the buns, and then the DLC was like the lettuce, the tomato, the meat itself.
That's kind of what I was just going to bring up. You know, I'm willing to say, well, fuck you guys. Like with Fallout 4, I saw the DLC come out. I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to buy it. You know, the only one I did buy, which I'm glad I did buy, was Far Harbor, I think it was called. Otherwise, the rest of it was like, fuck it, man. All you're doing is giving chunks of a game that really was already completed to us as, you know, microtransactions basically for the complete game, and I just won't back that. You know what I mean?
And the problem also is that it's all about the quality of the content too. Like back when this process, shall we call it, was fairly new, and they weren't doing day one DLC all the time, and they weren't doing season passes and all of that stuff. You actually had something that was relatively worthwhile most of the time. But now you get things like, I would say, I believe there were about 7 DLC packs for Fallout 4, using that as the
was it
example.
7? Jesus.
Somewhere between 5 and 7. And at least 4 or 5 of them, more than 50% of those DLC packs were things that could have been easily done with just mods or given away for free, you know, if the company wasn't being, well, let's be honest, assholes.
Yeah, a lot of them were just like building editions.
Yeah, they weren't anything substantial. You know, they had like other than Far Harbor, I think. In fact, yeah, it was Far Harbor and Nuka World, and those two were pretty fun. But the rest of it
was just building bullshit.
Yeah, it wasn't worth the price you paid for it.
I've seen this trend happening, and it happens more and more and more as we're going along, and it pisses me off just as much every single time. You know what I mean? But what can we do as gamers to stop it? By stop buying it. But are we gonna fucking stop buying it? As Casual said, fuck no.
That's the problem, and part of it also is that it's you have three types of people that buy games. You have parents; they don't care.
Yeah.
They're just trying to keep their kids entertained so that they don't have to pay attention to them. I'm not saying all parents, but come on, you know there's a certain sector.
No, not at all.
You have people like us that, well, okay, maybe not all of us, but you have, generally speaking, the people that we have enough disposable income that we can afford to buy it, so we just do because, well, I can afford it. Meh. And then you have the people that can't afford it and don't have their parents to buy it for them, and that's the smallest sector. So, unfortunately, it's just going to keep happening until people become poor.
As another side note to this, what about retailer exclusive or pre-order bonuses?
Yeah. Okay, so
that will eventually become DLC to everybody else.
And that's the double-edged sword, because I kind of agree with the idea of a pre-order bonus.
It makes sense from a business perspective.
But then I also stopped to think, well, let's assume that I just didn't hear about the game, and I'm just getting it.
Mm-hmm.
Why should I be penalized for just hearing about the game because of whatever reason, and now I don't get that content? So I can see it coming out as DLC later and approve of that, you know.
So another thing I wanted to bring up about gaming, though, since we're on the subject of the whole thing, Rad, you brought up to me a couple, I think it was about a week ago, wasn't it? I want to say about Alan Wake on Steam. They're removing it from sale. It was May 15th that they removed it. What the fuck actually happened with that? Why did they remove it? How do we get it? Should we cry? Should we mourn? Should we protest? Should we pee in the corner? What should we do, man?
Well, the Alan Wake being removed from Steam, which was almost a week ago now, that was because they, I think the publisher lost the license to it.
Okay.
Or something to that effect. So they would basically be legally barred from selling it. So Alan Wake was completely removed from Steam, and now it is literally impossible to buy Alan Wake unless you track down the old physical copies of it. Now the problem with this is that what if it was a digital-only game like Deadpool was? You know,
Yep.
This happened to the Deadpool game a few years ago.
Well, Deadpool was hard copy. That's how I got mine. I bought mine from PlayStation.
Yes, it was. Fortunately. Yeah, so to my knowledge, this hasn't happened to any big-name digital-only game yet. But I assure you it will happen one day.
Yeah, I don't know.
See, that's why I brought up so many times why I dislike digital only. That's why I like hard copies. You know, maybe I'm just old-fashioned, but I love a disc in hand because I know I'm not going to have to I still have regular Nintendo games. I still have Atari games in my house that I play from time to time because I know I have them. I can do that if I want.
Yeah, if you wanted to get the physical, if you wanted to still buy Earthbound, you can.
Exactly.
Because they made physical carts of it. It's hilariously expensive because it's a collector's item now, but you can still actually buy it.
Mine is worth like $200.
This is not the first time this has happened either. There are games that just get removed. Like, for instance, there was a game called I don't remember the name of it. It was based on the Riddick franchise, Pitch Black Chronicles of Riddick.
There's Escape from Butcher Bay.
There you go. Okay, so Escape from Butcher Bay was available on Steam for a long time. And then one day it just wasn't because of whatever reason.
Escape from Butcher Bay sounds like a Tintin comic.
A what comic?
Robbie,
You never read the Adventures of Tintin?
Oh, Rin Tin
you're
Tin,
so
yes.
British right now.
Wait, are we talking Rin Tin Tin or Tintin? Weren't those like two different ones?
It's like
Those are two different.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of the dog Rin Tin Tin.
Yeah, no. Tintin was a kid who went adventuring in World War II.
Was also a movie a few years ago.
What a bad place to go adventuring in. You know, like, oh, look, bombers. Let's go for our fucking adventure today.
But anyway,
sorry to get off track.
Totally off track, completely lost. But the point is, with Alan Wake, I don't know the full story, and I'd never figured out what happened with the Escape from Butcher Bay. But where did these games go? Like, are they available anywhere for digital? Because I know originally Alan Wake was an Xbox exclusive.
I would have no idea, to tell you the truth.
So is it still available on Xbox?
You know, that's a very good question.
No, it is not. The game was removed from Steam and Xbox Live because of music licensing issue.
What?
You can still play it if you owned it before that time.
Right.
If you want to buy it now, too bad. Literally for you, it does not exist.
Jesus.
Should be noted, speaking of music licensing, which, by the way, games and music licenses, I love having licensed music, but there is problems with that. Case in point, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. So Grand Theft Auto San Andreas has been available on a lot of platforms after its initial release. It's on mobile phones now. But they have removed songs from that game in later editions.
They did that also with Vice City.
The reason they did it is because they no longer have the rights to the music that is in it. They're not going to pay for more rights, and in order to release it on another platform, they have to remove the songs or not release it.
I can kind of understand that, I guess.
Here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Here's the thing, though. For those that bought it on mobile, you know how your games get updated, just everything gets updated on a mobile phone.
Yeah.
It just says, update this, okay. You say okay. If you updated your San Andreas game on mobile phones, the thing you had, whatever songs they were, I honestly don't know which ones were removed, they're gone because of the update. Like, they removed them in the update.
Yeah.
That's kind of scummy. It feels like it should be illegal.
Yeah, if you already had the game with content, it's like updating a game and having less content in it.
Right, and it's kind of a scary what do you call it? Like concept when you stop to think, what else could they just start removing from my game,
Right,
what if they did just literally start removing, oh, well, we've updated the game and we removed one of these missions you enjoyed.
I get it. It's their game. They own it. They can do whatever they want. But Jesus fucking Christ, we paid for the fucking game. Just give us the goddamn game. And here's the funny thing about the whole thing with music. I am a musician. I was a working musician for a very long time. Gonna eventually get back into it myself as I smack the shit on my microphone. But I'm gonna eventually get back into it one day. Even I would be like, just let the fucking game paid for at one point in time, right? Let them keep it. But of course, I can't do that because big, huge record labels like, fuck you, give us money. Yet another reason why you don't sign with record labels. But that's a totally different subject for a totally different day. But see, even me, being the musician. I've had music sold that I've produced and that I've created and produced before, and it was sold, and it's like, well, fuck it, theirs. Let them use it. Yeah, I mean, they paid for the rights once upon a time. I'm not going to go 5 years down the road like, hey, by the way, you got to change your song in your movie because I don't want you to have it anymore. Yeah, I mean, it just seems silly. It seems very fucking silly, and this is where, once again, greed, the cha-ching comes into play. Yeah, I mean?
It feels very petty.
To say the friggin' least.
I apologize for going back a little bit. Another game that was removed that was digital only was PT.
Yes! Oh, I fucking completely forgot about that one.
Not Silent Hill demo.
I thought yes.
The only way to buy that is to buy an actual console with the game still installed on it. Only way to get that game now.
I'm so disappointed in the internet. I would have expected somebody from the internet to have ported that and put that on the net to be downloaded from somewhere. You know what I mean?
I'm sure it is. I haven't wanted to look for it.
I've been looking. I couldn't find it because I just wanted to try it just once because everybody said it was such a good demo. And I was like, okay, great. I want to experience it just once because I didn't watch somebody play it on Twitch because I wanted to experience it myself. So I was like, I'll borrow somebody's on PlayStation. Come to find out, oh shit, I can't anymore. You know what I mean?
Speaking of things that you can't do in some games is some games, many, we all have experienced this, you can't go there. You just nope. You can't go there because, ladies and gentlemen, invisible wall.
Why?
Okay, so the obvious answer is, well, we can't make the game that big. Like, from a developer standpoint, for whatever reason, they can't make the game world that big, and they make a map, it is X size, and rather than be creative about it, they just slap some invisible walls, and you reach it, and the game literally tells you. Well, hopefully it tells you. The worst ones are when it doesn't. You just hit the invisible wall, and there it is.
Fallout 3 was terrible with that. That's one thing that happened to me. Me being the Fallout 3 freak I am, I played it for thousands upon thousands of hours. So I'm sitting there running every inch of the wasteland to see what's going on. And I'm running. I'm like, I wonder how far I can go over just to see. I want to see what's past this mountain range. I didn't bother looking at my map because I didn't use my fucking brain. I'm running and running and running. All of a sudden, I kind of just hit, what the fuck? I'm running forward and just kind of doing the running motion, not moving. Invisible fucking wall. Instead of it, like, having some creative way of putting, like, a huge mountain that's impossible or a huge wall from the Enclave or something cool and creative that would go with the storyline.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. Do you prefer, like, when they put, like, barriers, like impassable mountains?
Yes.
Like that?
At least it goes with the storyline. And so you can kind of go like, oh, I can't go here because of this.
Right. Or like another example of not being able to go there, Mercenaries. The first game, it had a big open world, and when you got to the edge where you weren't supposed to go, it said, warning, you have 10 seconds or airstrikes are going to blow you up. And it went into the storyline in terms of, like, you're there as a mercenary and outside of the restricted zone there's a war going on or whatever.
That's cool. I like that. Like in Fallout New Vegas, I don't tell anybody who's ever played it, there's the Mojave Outpost. You can't go past that because the NCR has it shut off because it's not safe past that point. So once again, creativity came into play. I know it's really hard to fucking think of creativity, but creativity came into play saying you can't go past this point because storyline says you're not allowed to. That's cool. But when you get to a point where you just hit the invisible wall and keep running for nonstop, it's like, why? God damn it, why?
I want to say it's just lazy development, but not being a developer, I can't argue for that because I don't know what goes into, their...
Would it be that difficult just to put a barrier that goes with the storyline in there? Would it be that difficult just to put a fucking mountain range in the play or something of that, or like a house that's broken down and impossible to pass because of something like that? Would it be really that difficult to do that? That's why I would argue our laziness.
Yeah, I'm playing The Witcher currently. You guys can't hear it at home.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
Oh
earlier,
yeah,
just-
give it to me atop the unicorn. Oh yeah, yep. He's playing Witcher.
But earlier it was just like I've been like crossing rivers like all day, and I was like, hey, there's another river. I want to go see what's on that shore. I was like, no, it's just. I stopped about halfway through, and it just says, "You're reaching the end of the world. Turn back now." It's like that just takes me right out of the game.
Right, dude?
Yeah, and that's, I think, the worst part about Invisible Walls is no matter how stupid the game is, you tend to get immersed, Yeah, sure, a bug will make you laugh and go, oh, this game.
Yeah.
But you're still generally, like, enjoying the game and you're totally into it. And then you reach that edge and it just says... like, at least in The Witcher, it says turn back now, and then it just kind of respawns you, like, somewhere nearby. But the worst ones are, like, Bethesda games, where you reach the edge and it just says, you can't go there. Like, literally on the screen, it says, you can't go there, and you hit an invisible wall, and you're like Stacey was saying, you're just running in place.
It just kills it, because I know we always make jokes like, my immersion, oh, don't take away my immersion. We make jokes about it, we get that, but there is an element about that, where when you play a game, you want to be immersed in it. You want to disappear from this real world, because so many of us play games where we just want to disappear from the real world, we want to leave our bullshit behind from the real world, we want to disappear into this game. Well, when I played Fallout, that happens to me a lot, where I kind of forget what's going on. I just turn into this character that I'm playing. It didn't happen as much with Fallout 4 because it was voice acted, but that's for a different discussion. But, I want to play a game to disappear. Well, when I hit the invisible wall, I just keep running, and it doesn't have any lore behind it, none of that. You just kind of go, God damn it, really? Yeah, that's right. I'm playing a video game. I keep on forgetting about this. Yeah, I mean?
Yeah.
I love Robbie. Yeah, whatever. I'm killing something over here.
I feel like there are certain game mechanics, including invisible walls, that can be done right. A really great example that I believe it was Rad brought up is Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
I'm currently looking for it.
I remember you were saying something about this. Okay, what was it? If I remember correctly, it tells you a couple different times that no, you are not allowed to do this, and that's really it.
Yes.
Does it work well with the game? Does it kind of go into the story, or does it just kind of like slap you in the face and go, "Welcome back to reality, bitch"?
Well, Breath of the Wild has, to most people, a pretty large map with a lot of things to do in it. Now, and this is a very different Zelda game, because most of the Zelda games are you go into a dungeon, you get item, use item in said dungeon, rinse and repeat until you finish the game. Breath of the Wild, you can do it in any order. And then the speedrunners, you can go straight to the final boss and beat the game in under an hour. The thing about making this work is you can do these puzzles any order you want, in any method you want. You can be as creative or as cheesy as you want. It does not say you can't do that. It only tells you two times, I believe. I believe there's a third one. I can't remember it offhand, so we'll just go with two. That it only tells you twice you literally cannot do this thing. And one of them is to get out of the starting area. You literally cannot leave the starting area without a particular item. The only other time it will tell you you can't do something is when you walk off the edge of the map, and it's not a bottomless pit. It'll say you cannot progress any farther. That's it.
Really? It actually tells you that.
Any other thing in the game you can do however you want, as long as you want. The game does not care.
That's not so bad, but once again, still does the whole ripping you out of your immersion thing that I was bitching about. But at least that's not so bad. At least it still gives you the possibility to do this whole open world thing where it's like, well, fuck it. If you want to go get yourself face rolled because you can't do this area yet, go ahead and have fun. Yeah, I mean,
that
exactly.
was one of the things you mentioned. Fallout 3. Well, Fallout 1 and 2, especially 2. Fallout 2 is probably one of the best examples of you have to get out of the starting zone.
Oh God, this
like
game.
Most games.
Yes.
But once you're out of the starting zone, and you can actually do anything in the game. You can kill everyone in the starting village. If you do, you get the bad ending, the worst ending. It literally says your village is dead. Congratulations, you suck. You know, but once you get out of the main village, there are certain things you can do in that game. Some of it requires a little bit of what you might call meta knowledge, meaning you played the game before, or you're using a guide. But you can go from the very start, level 1 character, yes, it has levels, and you can grab the best armor in the game, you can grab the best gun in the game, you can get the key thing to get to the final zone, and you can just go to the final zone from the very start of the game. There's no restrictions except for the actual size of the map, which it's an older game, so it's like a, what do you call it, top-down type isometric thing. But I wish more games would do that. I wish more games, and it should also be noted that when you do reach the edges of the map, basically it tells you can't go there because radiation will kill you. Exactly. And if you choose to ignore that, radiation kills you.
I love that, dude. Once again, at least it tells you. My problem with Fallout 2 was I couldn't get out of the goddamn pyramid. No, not the temple. I could not start the game. I legit spent, I think, 2.5 hours on stream straight trying to figure out how the fuck to get out of this temple. I just gave up and never came back to the game.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Fucking Robbie remembers me bitching about this game. I'm a total pleb, I'll admit it, man. That's apparently my word for the day, Jesus.
You just suck.
I guess I'm just a little too casually challenged.
Or you set it too hard of a difficulty. Depending on your difficulty, that first temple thing can actually be a real pain in the ass.
I just couldn't figure out how to leave. I just could not figure out how to leave the area. Like, I couldn't go to the guards and get out of the entryway because he said you have to do the thing inside the temple. Okay, so I'm back in the temple, wandered around forever, and just couldn't figure out how to fucking do anything inside the temple, so I just quit the damn game. Am I that much of an idiot? Am I really that much of a pleb where you're like, Jesus Christ, Stacy?
You play a lot of point-and-click adventures. You should have been better at it.
Okay, guess I just suck. All right, good job, Stacy. All right, so this
Stacy sucks so bad he quit video games for Netflix.
Yeah. This is one probably where Robbie's going to go because he's playing it right now. Witcher is getting its own Netflix series. Anybody here excited at all to watch their unicorn sex on the actual screen instead of having to play it?
Okay,
yes.
First of all, what's your thing about unicorn sex?
Because Witcher fan base. All right, this is why I make fun of them.
To play the game because of sex scenes in it.
No, it's not because of sex scenes. It's because of the fan base. When The Witcher 3 was first coming out, I was sitting here watching chat, and we're discussing it, going like, okay, cool, what is this game about? Never played any of the other two, so I don't know anything about it. And everybody, there was literally nobody talking about the battle mechanics, nobody talked about the graphics, nobody talked about storyline, which is normally the first things people talk about. Everybody was going, oh boy, how do we get to have sex in this one? The first one, he snapped his fingers, the clothes came off, they fucked in I think like a pond or some shit. The second one, they had sex somehow. Everybody was just just staring like, oh my God, how do we fuck in this one? Oh my God. And you're like, Jesus Christ. And then they found we could have sex on top of a unicorn. People would shut up about the unicorn sex. So I've always made fun of this game because I'm like, oh, look, now the movie's going to come out and you get to watch real people have sex on top of a unicorn. It's just like, Jesus, mother of God.
To be honest, there's not that much sex in it. I mean, it's not like...
I was going to say, it's not...
It's not like Mass Effect's level of sex.
I've never played it, so I don't know about that.
That's what I was going to say. It's way less than Mass Effect
which is funny.
Dragon Age.
This is funny. People love Mass Effect, play Mass Effect all the time. I've never heard anybody talk about Mass Effect sex scenes. Ever. They're actually the first people to mention it.
I think I know why. The reason is because in the Mass Effect and Dragon Age series, the sex stuff, first of all, isn't that great. Like, they don't really show anything, and secondly, it's a bit more integrated to the overall story. Like, relationships are as important in the Mass Effect and Dragon Age franchise as the rest of the story.
Okay.
Whereas in The Witcher, it kind of just, like, you're doing all this great fantasy normal stuff, swords and sorcery, and then
You're fucking.
suddenly sex scene. You know, it's not that sudden, but it's kind of that.
They kind of just put it there just to put it there kind of thing?
Yeah, it's like nudity in a horror movie. It's just there for the boobs.
Oh. Your partner's faking it anyway.
But here's my question about The Witcher as a series. So it's going to be a Netflix series.
Yep.
And I would say Netflix is killing it right now in terms of original content. They have so much. They've basically thrown everything at the wall, and 90% of it has stuck, and we all want to see what comes next.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Most of it is pretty low budget. Like, not in a bad way. They use their budgets well. But, like, Daredevil, you can kind of see that they conserve on the budget here and there. Iron Fist is really glaringly bad with conserving on the budget.
Well, was that the Orange New Black show? Was that pretty bad? I remember Pink watched it. I never did.
No, that one's actually pretty decent because they find ways to use the budget appropriately.
Okay.
Now, The Witcher is about a guy that hunts monsters in a fantasy land. Like dragons and wyverns and chimeras and all the other things that you would expect. There's, so from my perspective, and I don't really know much about it other than it's going to be a show on Netflix. From my perspective, I feel like if you've ever seen the show Game of Thrones, HBO has thrown I don't know how much money at this show, and you can tell. It feels like a movie, like a long-form movie, fantasy style on screen. I'm honestly worried if The Witcher is going to be the budget version of that.
Well, here's the thing.
I can definitely picture it being Game of Thrones-esque.
Well, the thing is, there's still no for sure. Is it going to be animated? Is it in CGI? Is it going to be live action? They for sure confirmed that some of the people who made the CGI movies on the game are going to be on board for the show. So is that kind of hinting more towards CGI? And if it's going to be CGI, it's going to be a lower budget, if I'm not mistaken, so they can make it for cheaper and would it look better because of it?
Well, and that's the thing. I don't like. They're also doing Castlevania.
This is the first time I heard of this. I remember you talking a tiny bit about this. Castle fucking Vania, really? Are they going to be slapping for pork chops on the wall too?
It's chicken.
Wait. Is it going to be linked to the pachinko machines at all?
Pachinko.
It's an animated show.
God damn it!
Like which I think will work for Castlevania. If they do it right, not like the Simon Belmont that we got with Captain N back in the day.
Wait, what?
Only if there's wall meat.
There was a show for Castlevania back in the day?
No. There was a show called Captain N. It was a Nintendo property.
Oh,
terrible,
yes,
show.
Okay.
And they had Simon Belmont on it, and they had some Castlevania references. If it's like that, yikes! But they have been doing a good job on Netflix with their stuff. Like Voltron, if you care, is apparently Voltron's a really good show.
Wait, what? Voltron? They put on a new one?
Yes.
Yeah, they made
apparently very good.
The animation is very like Avatar: The Last Airbender, so it's really good stuff.
I'm looking this up as we speak. I am excited.
But
supposedly it's getting a season 2.
Like, I don't want an animated Witcher, and I'll tell you why. Because The Witcher 3, which Robbie is playing, looks so good. Like now,
Yes, it does.
okay, if they do an animated Witcher in that style, in the very realistic style that The Witcher 3 has, I'm behind it. But if you're going to go with that anyway, I feel like why not just go live action? And again, we go back to, will it be the budget version of Game of Thrones? I don't want a budget version of I want another Game of Thrones.
I don't know if they did like make it look like the game. I don't know if I'd like that because I'm kind of with Stacey in that I don't like watching what are essentially huge cutscenes.
Yeah.
And I feel like if they tried to make it close to the look of the game, I feel like it would just be watching like a giant cutscene. I'd rather be playing the game.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, the reason why I think I'm afraid it's going to fail is because why every single video game movie failed. Not because of bad production, not because of shitty directors, but simply because when you play, Tomb Raider, it's because you want to experience the adventure for yourself. When you play Mortal Kombat, it's because you want to fight the enemies and you want to be number one. You don't sit there and watch play Mortal Kombat to watch a movie about the love affair between fucking Liu Kang and all this dumb shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with like video game movies, but I don't know. I know there's been a few attempts here and there, but I don't know how many attempts there have been of video game TV.
Well, there was the Mortal Kombat show.
To be fair, though, this series is not going to be based on the game. It's they've already said they're specifically basing it on the books, which
I thought the games were based on the books.
Well, they are, but
like loosely.
I mean, the books are a different, when you base something off of a story, you have a story to work with. And also, just in that general vein, I mean, the story in The Witcher is the draw for most people, because the first two games, the gameplay actually sucked, but people still clamored about, oh, you have to play this, it's got such a good story. So there might be something there.
Okay. Here's one for you guys. Would you watch a Fallout show / movie then? If you guys are willing to give this a chance for Witcher and Castlevania, would you give a Fallout one a chance? Because the Fallout lore is just so fucking rich.
I would. I mean, I've seen more essential. I've seen Fallout shows, quote unquote, on YouTube where people have made their own.
Oh, the fan. Yep. I've seen a couple of those. Are amazing.
And I've seen some of those which are really great. So I could see a Fallout show being really good. So I would definitely be interested in that.
One of the best ones I can think of was Nuka-Cola time.
Yes, absolutely. I was going to say that as the prime example of really well done. Not only well done for the universe, but well done YouTube show.
Mm-hmm.
I would give a Fallout show a chance, if nothing else, for like the alternate history aspect.
Yep.
Yes.
And only if they brought Ron Perlman in for the intro. Just throwing it out there right now.
I would love to see them actually. So, for those that don't know about what makes Fallout so unique, it's the aesthetic. Because otherwise it would just be another post-apocalypse ripoff of Mad Max, which is the gold standard. And to be fair, that's actually how Fallout kind of started. It was originally going to be like a Mad Max game, but they couldn't get the rights to Mad Max, so they did their own thing and turned it into what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But Fallout's alternate history starts with a kind of unique premise, and that is that the transistor was never invented in Fallout's world. And that's why all the tech looks like it does, because the transistor created the micronization of everything. It created computer chips. It created all of this other stuff. So I would love to see that in a live action, like just explained in a little offshoot somehow. I don't know.
I think it'd be a lot of fun. Of course, I think I'm looking at this definitely through rose-colored glasses because I'm such a Fallout fanatic. I'm the one who sat there and read, page after page after page of Wikipedia everything I could get just to devour this universe. Yeah, I mean, because I was so obsessed with it. So I'm a little too wrapped up in this fucking universe, and I'll admit that any day. Yeah, I mean, kind of like with me and Batman. It's just pathetic and a little creepy at times because I may or may not have a poster of Batman naked above my bed. But we're going to get into that at a later day.
Please no.
Do you have a Batman body pillow as well?
Yes, and when I touch his penis, he goes, "Are you ready for justice? Are you ready to feel my rock hard justice?"
Well, here's the question then: which Batman do you have on the pillow?
I definitely have the animated Batman.
Clearly, it's supposed to be the Adam West version.
Oh God, fuck you! We don't talk about that weird version of Batman ever. Oh God, I remember people like. The weird thing about the Adam West Batman is this. Everybody, quote-unquote, loves him, but not because it's a good Batman, because of the hipster quality of, oh, I liked it because it's so bad. Fuck you!
Well,
Adam West is fucking awful.
Terrible.
Like, there was nothing redeeming about the Adam West Batman. It just made you want to vomit and kind of masturbate with the vomit. It was so bad. You know what I mean?
No, there is one thing redeeming about Adam West Batman, but it took quite a few years to get there.
Huh.
It's in the movie Kick-Ass. No.
It wasn't
It's in the movie. It's in the movie Kick-Ass, and it's the portrayal of Big Daddy in that movie by Nick Cage, who used Adam West's performance to inform how he plays Big Daddy.
Really? Maybe I didn't watch that movie too worthwhile and actually too in depth because a few minutes in I thought it was so goddamn cheesy I started to shut down a bit. Plus it's a fucking Nick Cage movie, so what the fuck do you expect? The man who doesn't turn down a role unless it has to do with food. You know, food, bread. Moving on. No, but it's just I every time I instantly see him in a movie, I'm like, oh God, it's gonna be bad. And you watch, you're like, oh God, it was bad. You know?
There's only one movie with him in it that was actually good, but we'll save that for a different time.
I was gonna say that's a different topic. Speaking of good movies, though, Ultimate Transition! Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Okay, I've heard you ranting about how good this was. I know, Robbie, you went to see it. Rad, did you see it yet?
Yes, I did.
Please spoil the shit out of it for me, because I have not seen it. I probably won't for a very long time.
You're missing out. You're missing out, Stacey.
Okay, so
is it in a theater still? Then I'm not going to go see it. You know?
Yeah, First of all, Guardians of the Galaxy 1. When it came out, you have a talking tree that only says I am Groot.
Oh, God, I want to light the thing on fire so bad.
A CGI raccoon.
Oh, I wanted to be violent with it.
You have a green chick. You have a wrestler. And you have Chris Pratt, who at the time was still just the dude from Parks and Rec. This movie, and you have a premise of calling them the Guardians of the Galaxy. Basically, we knew nothing about them. We didn't have any, other than the super fans who were like clamoring for this. The only thing I knew about Rocket Raccoon was that he was in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. This movie, I went in with no expectations. And I came out with the thought that this was Star Wars for a new generation.
Yeah, I was one of those people that even when when the first movie came out, even among people who knew the Guardians of the Galaxy, I was one of the few people that actually knew that the Guardians in the movie were not the original Guardians.
Right, the ultra super nerd.
Really, what did they explain the lore why they changed it, or is it just movie reasons?
Well, I mean,
mostly just movie.
Yeah, it was like there was like a group of Guardians from like the way back when,
70s,
like the 60s,
I think.
Yeah, the 70s.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, they just in the newer comics they changed out the roster for like the modern times, and that's the roster that they used for the movie.
So same reason why they didn't include Jubilee in the new X-Men movies.
Well,
Yeah,
exactly. It's the same reason that all of the rosters are different for all the movies. You know, the Avengers aren't the original Avengers. The X-Men aren't the original X-Men. It's just, rather than using the ones that first came, they're just using the ones that are kind of popular.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Fun fact about that: Guardians 2 actually has the original Guardians of the Galaxy in it.
It does, yes.
Which, when you see them, it's not a... Okay, so when the first movie came out, it blew away pretty much everybody's expectations. It made a bunch of money. It didn't make as much money as some other movies. Some people will point to Suicide Squad, but I will say that Suicide Squad had a larger draw overall.
Yeah.
Guardians 2, on the other hand, is making tons of money because it is such a good sequel. And it's not a typical movie in the sense, like, superhero movies currently have a very standard formula. Set up hero, set up villain, hero fights villain, the end.
Well, hero fights villain, hero loses, hero retrains, fights villain a second time, hero wins.
Right. Usually that is exactly it. Okay, so this movie is not about heroes and villains. It's a character study.
It's about family.
It really is. Only in a good way, not like in the Fast and Furious movies where they say it's about family, but it has nothing to do with that.
As soon as you said the name Fast and Furious, I started to feel my bowels start to get a little irritated there. Sorry.
But what it does well is it takes the dynamics of most comic book movies and kind of throws them out the window so that we can just learn more about all the characters that we liked in the first movie. But because I love movies, and I especially love comic book movies, and I especially love the MCU, I am going to be critical of two things of this movie. One is it was too constantly snarky.
So they try to pull off the Deadpool a little too much in a way?
Well, yes and no. Basically, they had snark in the first movie. Most of the MCU movies have snark. You know, Tony Stark could be called Tony Snark.
No, you're not wrong, dude, at all. Jesus.
But there are moments in all of these movies where, you know, there's a sad moment or a moment of rage for the characters or whatever, and they don't snark in those moments. They let the moment happen.
Yeah.
Like there's none of that in Guardians 2. Every single moment has to have a period of snark.
With the exception of two of them.
Yes.
All the other ones were undercut, yes.
Yes. And I feel like that kind of undercut the movie a little bit. The other thing was the music wasn't quite as memorable. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good as the first one.
It wasn't.
I feel like in that
wasn't as memorable, but it was still really good music for the movie,
and it fit it too.
Yeah, I feel like in that regard, because the music was so memorable in the first one, everyone was having a little higher expectations for the music for this one, so it didn't quite live up to that. I think maybe also they used a lot of good Obviously, they used a lot of good music for the first one, and maybe they were running out of ideas for music for the second one.
Well, I don't know if they ran out of ideas. I think they kind of just they were pigeonholed by the first one to have all of the music be pretty much pre-80s.
Yeah.
So they had to select from the 60s and 70s, and the story does kind of go into why, because it was the music that his mother loved.
Mm. Like you see, they've kind of left it open for the sequels with what happened. I mean, are we doing spoilers or?
Fuck it, spoil the shit out of it.
Yeah, basically the little tape recorder he gets broken, and he one of the one of the Ravagers who helped raise him with Yondu, says like, I found this on a transport, and he gives him like a zune with like thousands of music on it. So they left it open for
300 songs.
There's
Very
like 300.
specifically says 300 because it's a zune. It's a
It's a massive upgrade from the 8 or 12 that he had before on a cassette.
Right.
Yeah, so they've helped themselves help themselves get out of that corner in that regard a little bit. Yeah, I really like the movie. There's maybe one thing that really kind of was bothering me all the way through, and that's they kept calling Ego a Celestial. That kind of bothered me a bit because they previously introduced, not by name, but they previously introduced the Celestials in the first Guardians.
Yeah,
so
that was Nowhere was the head of a Celestial.
It was
right.
Yeah, well, not just Nowhere, but when they were talking to the Collector and he shows them like a video of previous users of the Power Stone, the big guy with the staff destroying the planet is a Celestial.
I don't think they
Celestial.
Specifically referenced him though.
Yeah,
they
don't name. Yeah, they're not referenced by name, but I just feel like calling Ego a Celestial and lumping him in with them just kind of, I don't know. It made the world feel a little smaller. So I would have rather Ego be his other strange thing.
Well, but then you get into the whole having to explain that, and I think they already had to explain a lot of stuff in the MCU, and I think having to explain it's just kind of, from a movie perspective, it's just kind of easier to say, he's one of these things too.
Yeah, I guess.
You call him a Celestial, so everybody has the assumption, Celestials have just always been there. You know, that they've just always been around since before the universe started. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, I get that, but the way I see it is every Marvel movie's kind of slightly been world building. I just felt that it's made my world a little smaller.
Well, to their credit, though, to James Gunn's credit, he made the world bigger by doing a couple things. For example, heavy spoilers, he did include the original Guardians of the Galaxy, which I still don't even know. So apparently, Yondu, in the first movie, he was the blue guy with the who whistled to make an arrow kill everyone.
Yeah, like a metal mohawk thingy.
Right. He is an unoriginal Guardian of the Galaxy.
Yeah, he's one of them.
In this movie, not only did they show you that, but they also gave him, I guess, his original mohawk.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
Actually, almost. I mean, his original mohawk is just ridiculously big. Like, not...
Well, okay, yeah. But
for the movie.
But either way, they kind of made some heavy nods to the original Guardians of the Galaxy. And I don't know if it was actually like a spin-off potential or sequel potential or what, but they basically gathered them together, and Stallone is the leader of the original Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. I believe his name's supposed to be Skyhawk, or something along those lines. He looks nothing like he does in the comics.
Oh, that was another thing that felt a little bit too forced, was Taserface.
Oh yeah, that recurring joke.
Wait, his name is Taserface?
Yeah, that was basically the joke. Your name's Taserface?
Yeah, that was, and the problem I had with it was that it just was like, okay, I get it, it's funny to some people, but would that really be funny to everyone?
I think the one complaint is that it went on a little long.
Yeah.
I think the most I laughed during the Taserface bit was when the ship's blowing up and he contacts the Imperium?
The Sovereign.
Yeah, that's the Sovereign, and he says, "I'm going to tell you where the Guardians are," and he says, "Let them know who told you."
Who's responsible for the destruction is Taserface.
Yeah, and then the person on the other end just starts laughing.
Yeah, so he's all crabby while the ship blows up with him in it.
And then, so in addition to that, you also had possibly the second best cameo by Stan Lee of all time, the first being in Deadpool.
that cameo, although it was awesome, it made me sad because it destroyed one of my theories.
What was that?
Now, does it though? Okay, so Stacy, you may I don't know how much you know about Marvel Comics universe, but there's a group of people called the Watchers.
Yes.
They got these really big heads.
Very,
and
very
they wear-
vaguely know about these guys. I've legit heard people
baby
talk
people.
about them. That's it, unfortunately.
Okay, so they were introduced in 2 throwaway cameo scenes in Guardians 2. They didn't reference them as Watchers. They did, but they're clearly Watchers. I mean, they
Didn't
look
represent
exactly
them.
like-
They didn't talk. None of that.
right. And all they did is in both scenes, and actually, it's kind of an ironic coincidence that this is his second best cameo because he actually cameos twice. Stanley is in an astronaut costume, and he's basically telling the Watchers stories, and the Watchers are bored.
He's on like some random moon or asteroid or something.
What the fuck?
Yeah, we're not entirely sure where he is, but the point is that it kind of maybe breaks the concept that Stanley's a Watcher, but I like to think that he is a Watcher and he's just telling them what he's seen.
Yeah, he's getting caught up.
And the problem is now this is heavy fan theory now, like even more so. So everybody wants Stanley to be a Watcher. So if he is a Watcher and they're bored with him and they leave him behind, what if he's a Watcher that you ditch at the party?
Or like a nerdy Watcher.
Like nobody wants. Oh God, why did
Do I
we
have to hang
invite
out with
this
him?
guy?
That's actually pretty funny. I like that.
Yeah, it's like he's an old watcher. Sometimes he repeats his stories, and it's like honestly, I'd rather hang out over here. I will say,
One of my,
Guardians is one of those movies that it's one of the few movies I've actually almost cried at.
Really?
Yeah.
I did a little. I assume you're talking about the Yondu.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, that was pretty tear-jerking moments.
It's pretty rare for a movie to be good enough to actually capture me enough to make me want to cry. It's happened a few different times. But this movie is that good, huh?
I
Yeah.
think so. And one of the moments they did not snark over was a super touching moment with of
Yes.
all characters, Drax.
Yeah. I was not expecting that.
I'm not even going to spoil that moment, but there is a moment with Drax that is so like, oh my God, did they just do that with him?
One of the not like it wasn't quite emotional, but it was one of my favorite emotional responses from one of the Guardians was, and this is like a heavy spoiler by the way, but his dad Ego says he's given Star-Lord the power or whatever, and he's taking over like his mind, and in the middle of it he says, I'm almost sorry I had to put that tumor inside your mom's head. And Star-Lord goes, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, I just had to get rid of it. Had to get you out here." And then instead of like talking, Star-Lord just immediately starts shooting the hell out of his body.
Oh, that was
Jesus.
so great. Yeah, he doesn't. So heavy spoilers. He basically is being shown the keys to the universe. Like he finds out he's half celestial. Star-Lord does.
He has powers.
Chris Pratt. He finds out that he can basically make life. He can do basically anything from the perspective of how they do it in the movie.
Okay.
And he's literally seeing stars. Like in his eyes are like
Like Starfields.
yeah. And when Ego
Pretty cool
played
effect, by the way.
exceptionally by Kurt Russell. Oh my word, so good. When he says, "I had to kill your mom, I had to put the tumor in her head," The starfield immediately dissolves. Star-Lord just says, "You what?" And then he just pulls out his guns and just blasts him. Like,
Jesus.
No thought process, no, just it's a "you killed my mom" moment done well.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah,
when it comes out at home, I
he
might
does
watch
even-
this then.
Yeah, you really should. He doesn't even ask questions; just start shooting.
No kidding, huh?
Make sure you see the first one if you haven't, though.
I will one of these years. I've been saying I'm going to for like how many years now? One day I actually will.
For podcast research.
You know what, motherfucker? I put my brain on the line for this podcast enough times that fucking X-Men trash and Spider-Man trash. I've walked away because of this. It's going to be so hard to put my brain on the line again. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. I still have flashbacks. I have to go get counseling because of Spider-Man and fucking X-Men. Jesus.
That sounds like a Marvel porno.
There I am, rocking the corner like, it did it again. It happened. What happened? Please tell me about it. I fucking saw it again. Oh my God, I fell asleep. I woke up and there was X-Men all over the place. And pretty soon there was Cyclops blasting me. And then Jean Grey came out of nowhere on my asshole. It was weird. I don't know what's going on. Jesus Christ.
I'm just picturing you lying on the table of like or rather the fucking, what do you call them?
The
couch.
psychiatrist's couch.
Like, yes, the psychiatrist's couch. And just saying, I'm sorry, every time I close my eyes, he's there. Who's there? Tobey Maguire and that fucking emo.
Well, Stacy does have experience with casting couches.
Oh,
Speaking of
God
Spider-Man,
damn it, really? So you just turned 18, huh? Uh-huh. And this is your first time doing it? Uh-huh. I have to go through college. All right, that's nice. Take your pants off. Get ready for it to go in your ass.
By the way,
Anyway,
Stacy, with great power comes great responsibility.
speaking of Spider-Man, there's
I was
one
wanting to bring this up.
disturbing rumor, and possibly another. Maybe it's a good idea. The disturbing rumor I've heard is that they want to do the Spider-Man movies, the new ones, Spider-Man Homecoming being the first, as like Harry Potter. And what I mean by that is he's going to be starting in high school, and they want to follow his career through high school. Like each movie will be another year in high school. Tom Holland is already like 21 or 22 or something. The next movie doesn't come out till 2019.
Just imagining him like that movie with Steve Buscemi where he walks up to them and goes, "Hello, fellow kids."
Yeah, it's a lot like what was that? 21 Jump Street. You know, are we really supposed to believe that this is a kid in high school at this point? You know, I'm sure it'll be believable when Homecoming comes out, but after that, why don't we move forward?
Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, they were in their early 30s.
Oh,
And they looked like it too.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
It's just my main thing is why? Why are we so fucking wrapped up with the fact that this kid's in high school? Who gives a fuck? Do we really give a fuck about his high school fucking bookmarks and stuff like that, like how good his grades are? Do we want to see him kicking some ass? I don't give a fuck about his high school career. I just want to see him kick ass.
I just want to see him and Mary Jane effing, and
Jesus.
past that, I don't care.
I want to see Red Bush.
Did I say that out loud?
Well, seriously though, like I don't care, man. I don't give a fuck if he's in school. All I want to see is him crawl on the walls, fucking web somebody to the wall, you know, fucking spray webbing all over MJ's titties and be moving on with it. That's it, you know.
And that's the thing, you know. People say, "Oh, but he was always in high school in the comics." No, he wasn't. On a long enough time scale, he was in high school for about 1% of the comics. You know, he's people have this skewed idea that he's always young. No, the reason we love Spider-Man isn't because he's in high school. It's because he has to deal with rent problems and losing his job constantly because he's out doing Spider-Man stuff.
Exactly.
All of that.
That to me was actually kind of cool, you know. Like I remember reading these comics. Well, not reading, but watching the cartoons, going, how the fuck is he supposed to continue having a house? And how the hell would this do? Me, you know, being the fucking little weird little bastard I was wondering, how does he handle this? And that was actually kind of cool because in the very first 3 Spider-Man, they actually talked about him, you know, risking losing his house because he couldn't pay rent and losing his jobs. Sadly enough, that was one of the few things that movie got right, is because they talked about it. They mentioned like he's losing his job because he's too busy doing Spider-Man shit. Who gives a fuck about him failing high school because he's out, you know, fucking with Tony Stark saving the world and shit, you know?
I hope Tony Stark isn't like super heavy in the movie. Like I hope we've seen in the trailers most of the Tony Stark stuff because I want this to be a Spider-Man movie.
And from what I gather, is the basic idea of him and Tony Stark is he's using Tony Stark's suit. He screws up. Tony takes the suit away, and then he has to prove himself with just his regular Spider-Man suit before he gets his powers.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
my question is, why the hell does Spider-Man, the guy who for how long made it with just a fucking, you know, with just tights and his package all just flopping around in bad guys' faces, why does he need a super suit? He is already one of the strongest motherfuckers in the MCU. Like, insanely fucking strong. Why does he need a super suit?
He doesn't need a super suit.
Then why did they give it to him?
No. Tony Stark said, I could probably do something for you. If Howard Hughes came up to you and said, I want to build you a suit, would you say no? I wouldn't.
Well, no, it's not that I can't blame if the character got asked about it. I'm talking, why did the movie theater feel it was necessary? To me, it just seems overkill, I guess.
I mean, it was like in Civil War, in the Civil War comic, Tony Stark gave him a new suit. So in the Civil War movie, he gave him a new suit, basically.
Also, I can tell you another reason that they did that was because they got to have their cake and eat it too. And what I mean by that is we got both the original John Romita eyes and we got the later Todd McFarlane eyes in one suit.
Yeah.
And that, I have to be honest, that was just freaking cool.
Maybe I'm just weird, but I'm just like, God, when I think of Spider-Man, I think of just fuck you, just a kid who's super strong, super agile, because apparently spiders are super strong and super agile, and then when you get bit by a spider, it just works. Just fuck logic. Let's go with comic books in this one. But, you know, like, to me, that's so cool because he doesn't need the assistance of a suit to be a kick-ass kid, you know? He doesn't need an assistant of a suit to whoop some other bad guy's ass who's super strong, you know?
You haven't seen Civil War, have you?
As I choke my coffee, holy crap, no, I have not.
Okay, so they do actually explain it very offhand and very easily in that he basically, from the perspective of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he has newly acquired these powers within the last 3 to 6 months. I can't remember the timetable.
Okay. Yeah, he's just been on YouTube clips and things like that.
Right, and he's basically saving people in Queens from purse snatchers and stuff like that.
All the petty crimes.
But what they cover is that he doesn't have control of his powers, and what the suit does is it focuses his spider sense. Like, it helps him to focus the powers that he has.
Oh.
So eventually he probably won't need the suit, but for right now they have given a reason in universe for why he needs this suit or would like to keep it, and apparently is going to lose it in the new movie. It's
cool, but it just feels like it's being put there just to give Tony Stark a reason to be part of it. To me, that's what it feels like.
There is a little bit of that, but the thing is, everybody loves Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark, and the fact that Robert Downey Jr. has said, sure, I'll continue doing this, nobody wants to say no. You know, everybody wants this. Don't
get me wrong. I love Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. It's fucking amazing, but do we really need to put it in everything?
Well, also, to be fair, it's part of a connected universe thing.
Yeah.
True.
So
Okay, you know what?
So they kind of
Cheers,
have to
And
reference
and I
that,
will
Stark Towers in the middle of New York.
and I will also argue the point: do we have to have Wolverine in everything? Yes, we do. I'm not saying we actually do. I'm just saying the answer is always yes because he's the most popular character.
Good point.
And right now, Tony Stark, Iron Man, is the most popular character in the MCU.
As far as most popular villains go with Spooderman, I'm nervous for the upcoming villain, Venom. It's gonna be
Are you worried he's going to be more of a pelt?
a what?
It's a reference to The Revenant.
What the hell's the Revenant?
It's a movie with Tom
Casual has a
Hardy
good movie.
and
I remember this.
Leonardo
Okay, only thing I
DiCaprio.
know about from Tom Hardy, besides that, he's a wrestler, isn't he?
No.
Or is that a different
He's an
Hardy?
actor.
I remember there's a Hardy that was a wrestler. Anyway, this shows you how much I know. Anyway,
Edge and Hardy, yeah.
okay,
Yeah, I know
my
Y2J.
nephew watched wrestling so fucking much. I heard Hardy and I thought it was the wrestler guy. Anyway, I know that. Okay, I know that this Hardy played Bane.
He was in Mad Max.
Never seen it. Not the new one, at least.
He was in Mad Max. He was Bane. He was the guy that says pelt about 1,000 times in The Revenant.
Okay.
He was. He's a good actor, so I'm not worried from that perspective.
I'm terrified because of what happened with Bane, I guess. When I look at Venom, like, please don't. Please don't.
Well,
but of course,
well,
that was
that's-
writing on Bane's hat. That was the writers that destroyed Bane, really.
I think that the thing that worries me a little bit is that Tom Hardy is one of those actors that doesn't like to do the same thing twice. So he doesn't... similar to how Sam Jackson likes to have a different hairstyle every movie, that's fine, because it's just a different hairstyle. But Tom Hardy likes to have a different accent and a different character thing and a different this and a different
So
that.
he's not going to come out like, "Hello, Peter.
No, we
I've
can
come
be
to kill
guaranteed.
Spider-Man."
We can be guaranteed that he won't be that. But what will he do differently? Like, do we want to see what he's going to do differently? I don't know.
Well, the one thing I'm very excited for is the fact that he's actually going to look like fucking Brock. Brock was a fucking muscle-bound freak. He was just he was a steel pumper. You know what I mean? So, well, that sounded terrible. Hold on. He lifted weights. There we go. You know, he's muscle-bound. So, like, when I think, I'm like, well, at least he'll look the part. Yeah, I mean, it's just, is he going to play the role of Venom well? Or is he going to be just like the little bitch that played Venom last time that just shat all over the role?
He won't be Topher Grace. we know that he won't be that bad.
What a shitty role. Oh, my God. But so, thoughts, predictions, guys, predictions. What do you see happening with the new Spooderman with Venom? Go.
First of all, that's the other thing. It's not a new Spooderman. In fact, most of the talk is that Spooderman won't be in the Venom movie.
Wait,
This
what?
is not Tom Hardy playing Venom in a Spider-Man movie. This is Tom Hardy playing Venom in a Venom movie.
Oh, I misread the article. Son of a really now?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I'm honestly more worried about that than I am Tom Hardy playing the role.
I'm worried, but at the same time, I'm excited because that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun, man. Ooh, I like that, man. I'm not gonna lie, because I always thought Venom deserved his own, if not his own, fucking enemy movie for like Spider-Man versus Venom only kind of thing. But at very least but his own movie, that'd be fantastic because Venom was such a dynamic character. I mean, they're going to have to bring Spooderman in at some point to kind of explain his hatred of Peter Parker and shit like that. But beyond that,
is it connected at all with like the Marvel Cinematic Universe Spider-Man, or is it like still it's Sony Spider-Man thing?
We aren't entirely sure. That's the other kind of weird thing about this is it might be, but they aren't really saying much about it. You know, because technically speaking, the Venom movie has been in the works since before the deal with Disney and Sony came together.
Yeah.
Well,
Really,
the thing
it's been that
about this, Sony has tweeted out 2 days ago that the film be part of Sony's Marvel Universe.
Okay, so
That's, from what we know, that would
Sony's
be
Marvel Universe consists of Spider-Man,
Spider-Man villains without Spider-Man.
which
So we aren't sure. That's our best interpretation so far.
like, okay, because we know that the deal between Disney and Sony is that everybody makes money, but Sony retains some rights. It's kind of a convoluted deal. But if they can make their own universe that isn't entirely disconnected, like what I mean by that is, let the MCU, the Disney MCU, use the Daily Bugle, for example, and have Spider-Man. And then have the Venom movie have, like, the Stark Tower in it. They don't have to directly reference any of the storylines going on. They don't have to directly... Just like, do those little nods that they are part of the same place.
Kind of like the movies and the Netflix shows.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Netflix shows, they have Stark Tower, they reference the Hulk, but the stories don't actually connect. There's no Daredevil going, oh, we have to go help the Avengers with the Infinity Stones now. It's not that connected, which I'm fine with because I like the different takes on the universe. And if you think about real life, we're not all that connected. So it's okay to have things be disconnected like that. What kind of worries me is the next stage of these deals, because Kevin Feige, who's running the MCU for Disney Marvel, has said something a little bit worrying to me. And that is that one day, and I'm not getting his quote right, I will warn you right now, but basically he said one day he wants to incorporate all of the Marvel characters into the MCU.
Interesting.
Including things like X-Men and stuff.
Are we talking all
how I
major
feel about
characters or all characters?
His quote is pretty vague, but basically it's the answer to the question of do you want to see the X-Men return kind of thing. Okay. Kevin Feige is saying yes. So
his quote is, "My goal is to replicate the experience that comic book fans have reading the books up on the screen, and we've been able to accomplish that on my wildest dreams in the last 10 years. So, Spidey in Civil War, Infinity War, another dream he didn't dare talk about because he had no idea, because he thought the odds of that happening are like slim, next to none of it actually happening. So he says, who knows what could happen in the future.
And that's a reference to the idea that maybe they will get X-Men. And then that also comes on the heels of somebody talking to Hugh Jackman, like, would you continue doing Wolverine if it was part of the MCU? And Hugh Jackman has said yes. So it leads to the question, do we as the fans really want that? And as a fan, I'm going to say no, because the X-Men, and I think we've talked about this on previous podcasts, the X-Men presents too many additional characters.
Yeah, we have talked about that. I completely agree with you.
And a whole other concept of mutants.
Right, which they've already kind of established is the Inhumans are the mutants.
Not in the MCU. I don't think they've ever really referenced the Inhumans.
Well, not in the movies, but they have in the TV
Agents of
series.
S.H.I.E.L.D. they have, but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is kind of off by itself.
It wasn't originally. The first season was extremely integrated. The second season had one episode that was integrated, and they then kind of went off and did their own thing.
Don't forget the Don't forget the upcoming Inhumans TV show.
Right, which is hopefully going to integrate stuff from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to at least explain, something.
Yeah.
All right,
And,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
You shut up and talk. Wait, that's two. I told you two conflicting statements at the same time. Don't shut up, talk. How about that? I'll shut up, you talk.
Oh, I was just going to say that, one of the things that I've really enjoyed about the MCU as a whole is the Disney MCU is where they've taken it. And they're planning on taking it even further. There's a network called Freeform.
Yes.
It used to be Fox Family. It used to be ABC Family. Now it's called Freeform. Basically, they can't figure out what to do with this network. They're going to be getting access to a show which they have definitely paid for, like 13 episodes, I think, or something. Cloak and Dagger.
This is one you've been talking about for a while. You
Cloak
seem
and
interested.
Dagger is interesting because it's not the typical Marvel stuff. It's kind of dark. It's about two teen runaways who get abducted by like a secret bad guy or mad scientist type organization that experiments on them. They then gain these powers. They escape, and their powers literally feed each other, like, or at least one of them does. And I think this is interesting because it would be nice to see like a whole new, instead of the adults, which aside from Spider-Man, every character has been an adult. It would be nice to see the YA demographic taken care of in this concept. But what really makes me interested is they're also doing the New Warriors. And
I was surprised about that.
Robbie, I'm going to pass this to you because you've got to know more about especially one character in the New Warriors.
Fuck. I don't know that much about the New Warriors. I remember there was one character called Speedball, and I remember the New Warriors were the original cause in the comics of Civil War, because basically they turned their superheroics into a TV show. And during one of those superheroics, shit went wrong, and a villain blew up a building and killed a lot of people, including the New Warriors. That's the original cause of the Civil War in the comics, at least. And that's about... And later, after that, Speedball changed to another superhero called Penance. Basically, he was the same, except he was in spiky armor. And yeah, that's basically the extent of my knowledge. I have not read up on that in quite a long while.
Well, there apparently one of the members of the New Warriors is a character called Squirrel Girl.
Oh god,
Squirrel Girl.
I know the character. I did not know she was part of the New Warriors.
Okay, so tell the people about Squirrel Girl.
Squirrel Girl is basically one of those characters that I guess it's kind of a joke character. She has the ability to summon squirrels, and she has very squirrel-themed costume. And basically, from the comics that I've seen, the running joke is that she can beat anyone, like Galactus, Thanos, the Hulk.
She beat Doctor Doom off panel.
Yeah. That's basically the running joke with her.
And she's kind of unique also because she's like... Imagine you are a fan. Imagine a world of stars. Like there's Chris Pratt, there's Chris Evans, there's another Chris that's famous, and you're now a part of that world, but you're also still fangirling out.
Yeah.
And that's like her another part of her shtick is that she is a superhero. But she also, like, every time she sees one of the big ones, she, like, flips out, oh my god, it's the Hulk, oh my god, it's Captain America.
Yeah, that shtick was also kind of used for the new Miss Marvel. Basically, before she got her powers, she was like very fangirly, and she writes fan fiction about the various superheroes.
Fan fiction? Are we talking like Harry Potter level fan fiction? Or Twilight level fan fiction? Where your favorite werewolf takes you in the back of the woods?
Probably a combination of both, like My Immortal.
Oh, God. Oh, I need to read that again on stream. I should do that. We should have that be a segment of this podcast where I just do a 5-minute reading every podcast of My Immortal. Fully voiced.
No, we shouldn't. No.
It might be good, I'm telling you.
I'd rather talk about how Fantastic Four might end up back in the MCU.
Is that do people really give a shit about Fantastic Four? Honestly, dude, show me one time when Fantastic Four was done even halfway decently. Cartoons, TV, movies, even a fucking comic.
The comics used to be really good until they canceled it because of the whole debacle with the movies.
Like, I remember reading the comics going, you know?
Well, okay, but here's the thing. It's not even so much the Fantastic Four themselves, although they are kind of cool. The Fantastic Four, for those that don't know, and how could you not, the Fantastic Four are basically earth, air, water, and fire. Each one represents one of the elements. Their villain is Doctor Doom, though. That's why we want the Fantastic Four. We don't care about the actual Fantastic Four. We want Doctor Doom, we want Galactus, we want the Silver Surfer. I believe Annihilus is a part of that.
I would love to see Silver Surfer done well in his own movie, honestly.
I would too. And somebody I was listening to the other day brought up a really great idea for who could play the Silver Surfer.
Who?
Keanu Reeves.
Oh, God. Whoa.
Come on. It's perfect.
Every time the moves on his thing are, whoa, I almost hit a comment. Whoa.
But here's the deal with the Fantastic Four. Fox might not actually own the rights to the Fantastic Four.
Really?
Apparently, how it works is that a studio called Constantine Film or Constantine or something, who owned the rights to the Fantastic Four when Marvel was going through its bankruptcy period and selling everything to everyone, they got bought by Fox. That film company might be looking to liquidate all their assets. If they still own the rights, if it's not actually owned by Fox, then when they sell the rights, then Disney could buy them and then keep them indefinitely, because once they own the rights, it goes back to Marvel and they would own it forever again.
Who here would actually give Fantastic Four another chance if they put out another one? If another company did, would you give them another chance, honestly? Not just because you're like, oh, well, this company did well. Would you honestly put your money on the line? Well, you're not asking you, Casual. You went and saw Alien. We don't need to ask you if you're willing to give anything a chance. You will. But you, Rad, and Robbie, would you honestly go, yeah, why not? I'll give this a chance. Would you go, fuck it, this is going to suck?
I don't know. Only if it was Marvel.
Yeah?
Yeah, if it was Marvel Disney, I would absolutely give it a chance.
I would have a hard time.
Anybody else, I don't know.
I think a lot of it's just because I've gotten burned too many times. Kind of like my opinion with game companies when it comes to early access. You know, like, oh, just buy this early access and we'll just give you this game, but you get to, you'll get all these awesome things. You get burnt all along the way. Same thing with Fantastic Four. I've been burnt how many times with fucking shitty movies, shitty shows, shitty cartoons.
If you count the just movies alone, 4 times.
Enough said. I just have a hard time giving faith in Fantastic Four at all, man.
Okay, so the way the rights would work if Constantine goes out of business, is Constantine would either sell it back to Marvel or give it back because they didn't make a movie with it in 7 years. The rights would not automatically go to Fox because Fox, in this case, is a third party.
Right. And the fact that they own it, they own Constantine, doesn't factor into it because
Exactly.
Constantine can still sell, and once they do...
Yeah, and Marvel has first crack at it.
Now, that's the thing. I think the other problem, though, is I personally think even if Marvel Disney never gets the rights back, they have... People say they only have one good villain in the movies. And I would generally agree with that. Obviously, we're talking about Loki. But the reason we have one good villain is not because he was so exceptional in the first movie he was in, because Thor is kind of mid-tier Marvel movie. It's okay. It's a good, fun movie, but Loki isn't the draw in that movie. He didn't become the draw until he was in more movies. Now, there are a whole bunch of villains that they still have access to that they haven't touched.
They haven't killed off either.
The Red Skull is out in who knows where. He wasn't killed. He was just teleported away somewhere. The Mandarin might not be the cheesy Mandarin we saw. He might still be out there. Like, we don't... There's plenty of ways that could go.
He may also be delicious and citrusy and have a peel around him.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's our dad joke for the podcast.
Ultron could still be around. He's AI. I mean, he could have easily uploaded himself to the cloud. What do you call it? Baron Zemo, who was just introduced in Civil War. We've got him.
Arnim Zola.
Arnim Zola. He's another AI that could easily still be around. They've got villains. They just need to start using them. They keep creating new ones or throwing in new ones, which, to its credit, is kind of nice to see something new every movie. But why not go somewhere we've been before? And, like, DC keeps bringing back the Joker because people want to go see the Joker.
Yeah.
Bring back the Red Skull. Bring back Ultron. Bring them back and show us what they can be.
Let's get the Masters of Evil.
All right, guys. I want to ask you a question. Of all of the comic book movies that come out thus far, which ones did you rank? Which one would you call the best? Like, what were the ones that you think, as you try to think of all of them, what were the best ones to you?
That's a really hard question.
Yeah. I think like the three that I can think of that I really enjoyed the most were Guardians 1, Captain America: Civil War, and Logan. But I'm trying to think of how to rank them.
How about you, Casual?
Like it kind of depends on what you're looking for. And so, I mean, if I'm just taking them as you have to put this at number one, there's a gun to your head, that kind of thing.
Just this decade.
I guess, just from this decade?
Yeah, sorry. I should have refined it a little bit more.
Since 2007.
From this decade, that includes all the Marvel,
basically all of them.
MCU
Yeah,
movies.
I have to go with the Avengers, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Civil War was a little bit better in some ways, but here's what the Avengers did. And this is not just the movie itself, but also the movie-going experience and who the Avengers grabbed. So all of the previous movies leading up to the Avengers, some people went to see them, some people didn't. What the Avengers did for the comic book genre and for just in general is it gathered together not only the fans of the individual movies that had come before it, but it also gathered together non-comic book people and united them to all want to see a helicarrier. Now, you may say, what the hell does a helicarrier? Here's the thing. A helicarrier is a really dumb, nerdy thing. It is very comic booky.
Okay.
It is extremely unrealistic. But when that scene happened in the movie, the entire theater that I was in, which was not full of comic nerds, it was full of just general, like, I would say probably half of them were comic nerds. Half of them claimed to be comic nerds, and then the other half, yes, I just said three halves, were just
Math,
the
it's
general
tough.
populace that wants to go see a movie that is big and fun. And when the helicarrier revealed itself, the big giant engines came up and the thing lifted out of the sky and it cloaked and all of that stuff. No one in the theater went, oh, that's stupid. Which it is. It is stupid. It is unrealistic. It is dumb, but no one said that. Everybody was completely invested in that movie at that moment. Now, you couple that with the fact that they combined all the heroes that they did, and they had a really fun story to tell, and they had heart literally stabbed out of one of the characters. And it's just like, to me, it's of the last decade worth of movies, it is the best superhero movie.
Okay, well, GameSpot ended up putting out a list of the best comic book movies this decade, all the last 10 years. And they're all ranked, all right? And this is how they ranked them by Metacritic score. I don't know.
Well, that's terrible.
Well, I was about to say. So basically, instead of it just being one person's opinion, now it's just another person's opinion, but played up to a score. Put up to a list. But here's what it is. Now, the first, it goes from 26 on. I'll go through this really quick because it's fucking 26. 26 was Thor: Dark World, and it only got a Metacritic score of 54. So I know that was one you fucking despised, right, Casual?
No, I don't hate any of the MCU movies.
Or is it just your least favorite?
I think Thor: The Dark World is probably rightfully so the least of the MCU movies, just because the villain was forgettable, and other than a couple of moments, it's mostly just a world-building movie.
Okay.
But, yeah. I agree with that placement.
Man of Steel, 55 Metacritic score. Thoughts?
I disagree with that.
I kind of disagree. I think, I mean, I haven't heard the rest of the list, but yeah, I kind of disagree. I think Man of Steel was a better movie than people give it credit for.
This one, I'm really surprised how low on the list it was. Watchmen was at 24 with a Metacritic score of 56. Now, I was obsessed with it, but you guys really disliked this one. Oh, you just didn't think it was as good as it could have been, basically, right?
No, I actually liked the movie better than the comic, but I'm in the minority.
See, I loved the movie. I thought it was fucking fantabulous.
Yeah, the problem is that everybody compares it to the comic, and, you know, they think that Alan Moore is a god and can do no wrong. I think he's a prick, but...
Tied for 21 is both Iron Man 2 and Thor, with a Metacritic score of 57.
Personally, I think Iron Man 2 should have been lower than Dark World.
Really? I thought Iron Man 2 was fucking awesome. I loved it.
It was a good movie. I just liked the Dark World better.
I did too.
Yeah. I don't know. I think for me, I would have put Iron Man 2 around the same level as Thor, but not like at the bottom of the barrel. I just, you know.
How the hell did motherfucking Spider-Man 3 place above Iron Man 2 or Watchmen?
Because Metacritic
score of 59.
With aggregate scores.
I'll tell you why. Because what Rad just said, because Metacritic, but also because it was coming off of, at the time, because they don't change their review scores later.
Yeah.
They don't, you know, but at the time they were coming off the high that was Spider-Man 2. So they gave it a little bit of leeway for probably the Sandman stuff.
I
can only
suppose.
imagine.
The Wolverine, which was the sequel to X-Men Origins Wolverine, got a fucking 60, and that one was also above Watchmen. What? What?
First of all, I want to dispute that it was the sequel to X-Men Origin Wolverine.
Well,
It was actually the sequel to X-Men Last Stand.
how they described it basically was supposed to be the sequel to Origins, I thought. Or am I completely wrong on this one?
No, that you're wrong, because Origins sucked so bad they wanted to just not even touch it.
I think
yeah,
everyone assumes that it was the sequel to Origins.
which makes sense since it's the second solo movie of Wolverine.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with that ranking, though. It's a much better movie than Origins, but it's not really that good. I mean, it's okay.
I have it in my box of movies right now, and I haven't wanted to touch it because of Origins.
It's so much better than Origins, but again, it's just kind of like, it's fine.
How could it not be better than Origins, kind of thought?
Yeah, a little bit of that.
Incredible Hulk. The Incredible Hulk. It ranked at number 19 on this list with 61.
Is that the first Hulk movie or the second one?
That's the second one.
Yeah,
hence the Ed
I
Norton
can agree with that.
Hulk.
Yeah, it's The
yeah.
Incredible Hulk, not Hulk. So,
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Iron Man 3 ranked at number 18 on this list with 62. Excuse me, Metacritic.
I'd have to see what's above that.
I actually liked Iron Man 3 and what they did with the Mandarin, so I would rank it higher. But
Same.
I'm in the minority. Also, I kind of take into account who directed it, and it feels like one of his movies. So it just,
What's above it? Ant-Man, number 17 on the list with 64 Metacritic.
Yeah, it's a better movie than people give it credit for. Like, a lot better.
This one is going to boil my blood because you guys know how much of a fan of this movie I am. Deadpool and X-Men First Class tied at number 15 for with a Metacritic score of 65.
I like X-Men First Class, but I think Deadpool should have been higher.
Deadpool should have been way higher.
How the
Deadpool's
hell?
one of the best superhero movies this side
Seriously?
of the Avengers.
Avengers Age of Ultron and the Amazing Spider-Man tied. For
Okay,
66.
I am going. This is a terrible list, and it's stupid, and everybody's
Yeah.
wrong just based on the fact that Deadpool is below that.
Thank you. And also
Yeah.
Captain America, the first Avenger, was also at the same level as those three.
I mean,
First Avenger was
those three-
actually good.
Yeah,
I think Avengers: Age of Ultron should be higher than the first Amazing Spider-Man.
I think Age of Ultron should be lower than Ant-Man and a bunch of the other movies you've listed.
Yeah.
It's got good moments, but overall, it's a little bit too chaotic.
It's one giant set piece.
Yeah.
Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 2 at number 11 with a Metacritic score of 67.
There better be some good stuff after this.
Well, what I will say right now is the Metacritic scores change based on how many reviewers are added, and there might be sometimes reviewers get added later.
Okay. The Avengers at number 10 with 69. Giddity. No thoughts?
I'd put Guardians over that.
I'd
Yeah.
put the Avengers higher.
Captain America, the Winter Soldier at number 9 with 70.
I think that's actually a good ranking for that movie, but honestly, I also think that people give that movie too much credit for being better than it is.
Doctor Strange at number 8 with 72 Metacritic score.
Switch those two for darn sure.
I loved the movie Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
but
I
it
did too,
doesn't-
don't get me wrong.
It doesn't deserve to be that high.
This one makes me want to vomit. X-Men Days of Future Past at number 7 with a Metacritic score of 74.
God, why is that even this side of the list?
Right?
No. I liked Days of Future Past, but no, that's wrong.
I thought it was an awful movie, but, me and you have totally different ranking for movies. Number 6 was Captain America Civil War with 75.
That should be lower.
Yeah, actually,
I would lower that.
I'd like that higher.
Excuse me. All right, so Here's another one. This I know you'll probably agree with how high up the list it is, but you don't think it's high enough. I'm pretty sure, Rad. Guardian of the Galaxy was 76, was number 5.
Oh, that's a great place for it.
Yeah,
I figured you'd want it higher, but okay.
I think that's
That depends on what's after it.
That's true.
Logan was number 4 with 77.
I have yet to see that. I have been wanting to see it since I first heard about it.
I think Logan should be maybe 1, maybe 3 or 2.
That one's hard for me because it's such a depressing movie. It's a good movie, but it is so depressing. I haven't even bought it yet because I've been like...
Is it out
do I
already?
really want it? Yeah, it's on Google Play at least.
Oh, fuck me. I'm going to buy it and watch it then. Well, so they get money. That weird thing called money apparently needed to buy shit. I had no idea. You guys ready for the top 3?
Not based on this list.
This, I'm pretty sure, Casual, you're going to rant with me on this one. Number 3, Dark Knight Rises with 78. Are you fucking kidding me? Why is it so high up on the list? Dark Knight Rises was the worst of all 3 of them, in my opinion. Even number 2, Dark Knight was better than Dark Knight Rises.
I mean, I don't think it was a piece of crap like most people do, but it was definitely not as good as The Dark Knight.
Exactly. That's kind of how I feel, too.
And that's why people don't like it as much, because Dark Knight came before it.
Is this, I may spoil myself, but is this going to be one of those things where all the top 3 are Batman?
Nope, not all 3 top Batmans. No.
Okay, good.
So that makes me question this list even more then.
Right?
Because if that is... No.
See,
I think that some of the movies, like I think Deadpool was definitely better than The Dark Knight Rises. Logan was better than the Dark Knight Rises. The Avengers was better than the Dark... No, this list
how
is
the hell was Batman Begins? Dark Knight Begin? Or what was the first one called again? I always fuck up the name.
Batman Begins.
Batman
that
Begins,
was 2005.
Thank you.
Then The Dark Knight.
Okay, yeah, Batman Begins. How the hell was Batman Begins not number 3, but fucking Dark Knight Rises was? That blows my fucking mind.
Because Batman Begins was more than a decade ago.
Oh, good point. God damn it, I hate you for that one. Fuck! All right.
Kids who were born when Batman Begins came out, they're now 12 years old.
Oh, God, I'm old.
My God.
Number 2, Iron Man with 79.
I personally would not rank Iron Man as a number 2 movie, even in the MCU, but I'd put it at number 3. Maybe even number 4 at its lowest.
I think it deserves to be up there, though.
The thing, yes, it definitely deserves to be in the top 5 at the very least of any list of comic book movies. Pardon me for not being able to breathe. But the reason is that it did something similar to the first Spider-Man movie. It did something that we just never expected could happen, and that is make an Iron Man movie.
Yeah, make a lesser-known character compelling.
So,
are you ready?
I will not agree with it being number 2, but I will agree with it being up there.
Are you sure you're ready for number 1, guys?
I'm worried.
Robbie, you should be. Number 1, and I agree this one, I'm not sure if it should be number 1, but it should be goddamn high up on the list. Number 1, The Dark Knight with 82.
Knew it.
See, I didn't say all 3 were Batman. I confirmed not all 3 were.
I was really worried that number 1 would be Batman v Superman.
Right.
In fact, I'm glad Batman v Superman didn't make the list.
Me and you both, buddy. I agree. Dark Knight Rises should not be number 3. How the fuck did it make it that high up? And how was Logan not, 3 or 2?
Logan is definitely
how good I've heard about it. But number 1, Dark Knight, it was so well done. You fucking identified so well with the characters. How well they did Two-Face in it. How well they did the character they named Joker in it. How well they really got you to fall into the role of Bruce Wayne and seeing where he struggled. Everything about it was good.
Okay. Do you know why The Dark Knight and Logan are so good? I'm not going to get into spoilers in Logan, don't worry.
Why? Just because you identified so well with the characters.
It's because if you remove the superhero component from either of those movies, they still work.
Yes, absolutely.
The story is the most key component to any movie, and they didn't worry about telling a superhero story. They didn't worry about telling a Batman or an X-Men story. They just told a really great story, and it just happens to have a guy in a bat costume.
I would 1,000,000% have to agree. It was so good. It really was a high watermark for DC movies. And I know you guys are like, well, DC, it's shitty anyway. But I get that, okay? But as far as DC movies go, Dark Knight was the high watermark. It was an absolute fucking fantastic movie. And I don't know if it's necessarily deserves to be number one, but it deserves to be in top three for sure. That is something for us all to debate at a later time. Because we're just about the end of the podcast, guys. We've been going for damn near 2 hours. I want to talk about one thing. One last thing. Why the hell are fidget spinners so huge?
Here we go for another hour.
Oh, good grief. I'll give you the easy answer. I just looked this up because I didn't know what the hell people were talking about. It's a kid's thing. It's like Pogs. It's like the hula hoop. It's like marbles.
From what I can tell, it was originally marketed as something to help people with autism when they wanted to fidget with stuff.
Sure.
But it started to obviously became a trend.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just a fad, and adults don't understand it, and kids love it because of that.
That's exactly it.
And all the YouTubers are jumping on it.
That's exactly what I'm bringing up, though. It's meant for something to help people. That's what it was originally designed for, and I don't think it's a bad thing. We have plenty of fidgets for my son, who's autistic himself. So when he's doing his homework, if he's starting to get distracted, we give him something to just kind of putz around with. He kind of moves it around. He's able to concentrate on his homework. That's a fantastic thing. Do we have that many people out there with that bad of problems with fucking either autism or just attention disorders that they need to have these things everywhere? Do judges sit here spinning because they're having too hard of a time paying attention to these boring ass testimonies?
No, that's what I just said. It has nothing to do with what it was originally designed for. It has to do with it's the latest fad and all the kids are doing it. Give it 5 years, it'll be gone.
Why?
In fact, probably less than 5 years.
Yeah, I was about to say, like 5 years, really.
You want to know how bad it's getting with these? One, in Japanland, competitive fidgeting.
What? How?
I don't know. I saw a mumble of it on a story. I didn't get a chance to see any videos of it. It's just competitive fidgeting. So I'm guessing they do tricks with it or some shit. I don't know.
That sounds dirty.
But
right?
How? It's just you just spin it.
You spin a finger, land it on top of the dick. You do a fucking 380 spin, and you catch it again. 380. Yeah, that's the real tough one.
I don't know.
And
people are weird.
I'll take you one better. Fidget spinning with an actual fidget makes sense because you have to actually bother with it. You have to keep on spinning it. You actually have to maintain it, right? How about fidget spinning on your fucking iPhone?
Yeah, I saw that. There's an app for it.
Why? What part of that is actually fidgeting, though? That's just touching the screen. There's no sensation with it. There's no actual motion of flicking it. You know what I mean?
As if kids need an excuse to go for their phones.
Right?
You know that some schools have actually banned fidget spinners?
That does not surprise me at all.
Because they say it's the tool or toy, whatever you want to call it, that was designed for making people not distracted is distracting people.
Every time there's a fad, it always gets banned from schools.
Now,
yeah.
I will actually devil's advocate on the side of the schools. It's if you aren't paying attention in class and you're just sitting there spinning your fidget thing. Man, I just sounded like an old man right there. Then, yeah, sure. Don't let them have it. It's like any toy. You don't let them play with toys while they're supposed to be learning.
Yeah.
Whatever. But people are flipping out about it, like on every side. Oh, I don't understand it, says all the old people.
You want the number one, the best review for this? Number one best review on the I think it's I don't what the fuck is the iTunes store, I think is what it is for iPhones. I don't have iPhones, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's iTunes.
Okay. The number one best review for this, I unfortunately was diagnosed with cancer shortly after getting this game. Kids, please, parents, please do your kids a favor. Don't let them play with this. This has been the Odd Pod. Thank you so very much for tuning in. I am Stacey Kruger. Who are you guys?
I'm Robbie, and I need an update.
Apparently he needs an update, and don't get the fidget spinner because, Robbie, you may get cancer. Go.
I'm Red, and insert Woody line here.
I am casually challenged, and Rad hasn't stole my line.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next time. You are fucking amazing. We are odd, and we're the hell out of here.